Well, it was right in front of me, but you can't always see what's right in front of you. Yeah. So I'm rolling the sprocket shaft with my thumb as I wind the advance. That's good, that's moving smoothly. So the film advance is good. There's no problem with that, the shutter release mechanism is working properly there. The rewind. Yes, I can put the rewind back in place. It's here. I'll just put a bit of synthetic grease on there. This has all been cleaned in the ultrasonic cleaner. It's moving very freely, that's all to the good. And this goes on. Now, which way around does it go? I think it goes that way. I'll just check and I'm not fouling anything up. That looks likely to me. Okay. 2 screws hold that to the body. It's playing hard to get. Let's try this. Is that insufficient clearance to get that screw down? But when I rotated the rewind there's a bit of a notch in it. That gave me enough clearance to get the screw down into position. So we'll just rotate that to the other side and get the other side in. Do up those 2 screws. And the other bit is this big spring catch here. So I'm just going to put some synthetic grease through the pivot point there on that. And this has a large screw that runs through and forms the pivot. It's going in nicely. Do that screw up tight. Oh, now my spring. I've got this round the wrong flaming way, have I? What have I got to do here? That spring is on upside down. Yes, most definitely. It looks happier. Or is it? Let's see if I've got this on the right way. I'm still not 100% sure on that. No, I haven't. So I had it facing the wrong way. There's 4 ways you could position the spring, and I didn't have it in the right way. Let's get that spring off. So that goes that way. And this is quite a strong spring. Lift that over and behind that post, like that. And this spring locks the rewind in position so that you can actually see between the posts here, which is where your rangefinder image passes. That's good. What are we up to? I think I'm put the door on the front of the camera, and after that I've got to worry about the rangefinder. The rangefinder, of course, is a disaster in this camera. What the hell's going on here? There's a hole being burrowed into the door at this point. What's that from? That is very unusual. It's all gouged out. It's roughly where the focus knob would sit. Oh, I've got no idea about that. I'll clean this door up. We'll put it in place. See if that creates a problem. It's just a mystery recess cut into the door for some mystery purpose. Check that the arms aren't too bent too far out. They should have a little bit of inwards tension on them, otherwise they won't clip into place properly. Oh yeah, they're bent. They're bent. I can see they're bent. This is quite out of shape here on the arm. I'm going to have to true that up a little bit. Move the whole arm in. Try that. It's loose. Give it a little bit more pre-tension. Try that. That feels quite good. Why is that door so reluctant to fit in the hole? I would say that things are a little bit bent. Let me pop the screws in place. See how well it works after that. Can I get to this one? Yes, I can. If I take out the shutter release. One. Let's mate at the bottom of the camera. Okay. Well, the front of the camera does erect, but it's got a bit of nasty feel to that. Not exactly popping. I suspect that this arm here is bent slightly and its mate at the bottom. I'll put a bit of synthetic grease in the front slots on the lens standard here. I'm just checking the action of that door. It does clip shut, it does open. I think that'll do. I think that door probably is slightly distorted, but it's certainly working well. That, oh, my shutter release has just swung round and is jamming my front up there. That's better. Swing that back out the way. That arm there on the shutter release is normally kept in alignment, of course, by the pin on the shutter itself. So it looks a little bit open. That hook shape at the top there looks a bit open, but so I may need to come back and attend to that. But otherwise, it's okay. So what we're missing here at the front is the arm here, which will couple to the rangefinder, but I want to get the rangefinder down in position before I put that. And the rangefinder, of course, on this camera is an utter disaster. This is all we've got. We're missing the top of this piece. We're missing the follower for it and the prism, and it should look something like this. So we're missing this piece here, the prism, the optical piece with its arm and so forth. We're missing the control adjustment gear here is missing off the top here completely, and the control arm here is completely missing. So if you look at it from the base there, this is completely gone. There's nothing here. So that's why we've got all these spare holes doing nothing in here. Now the semi-silvered mirror actually looks pretty good as these things go, because the silvering on those is very delicate. I've never actually seen these unscrewed from the base before, but obviously you can, because that plate's threaded. The spring post is missing there, but we've got one here we can use. Alright, I'll clean up this and see if I can transfer some other parts to it and hopefully reuse it. I'd like to use as much of the original camera as possible, That's obviously just a locating dowel, that pin there, which is not even present on this one. Okay, I'll see if I have got one, another one that's... I will use this, we'll transfer these parts to it. Let me dismantle this first. I need to get that screw loose because otherwise we'll be going nowhere with our adjustments. Because it's anyone's guess what position that's currently sitting in. I've got a battery going flat on the camera here, but I think I just came to a file size limit a second ago, so I'm just going to change the battery now. So I've got my rangefinder body here. This is the one from the camera I'm repairing, and I've gathered together parts I've taken from parts cameras to allow me to put this thing back together. And I've got to get all these pieces in the right place, of course. So this shaft goes here. This shaft goes here. I've never seen these removed from a camera before. I didn't even know they unscrewed. I assumed that they were riveted in place. Turns out I was not right on that score. So these two need to go in. Just pop that up on that block so I can get some weight on here. I'll do this screw up tight. And likewise this one. And what else needs to go on here? The spring post is there. So another spring post has to go on there, because that's missing at the moment. That one there will do the job, I believe. The arm passes up through this bush here. Just checking that moves freely. It does when it's in place. There must be a bit of a burr on there somewhere. I'm just going to lubricate that with a little touch of molybdenum paste in that bush. And there's a spring post that fits into that arm. That's this little one. These are posts that springs have to hook to in order for the rangefinder to work correctly. There we go. Let's get that screwed in. Okay, that looks good. Now I want to wipe the top of this quite carefully. I do not want that being lubricated because at the top there that's got to jam in place. Friction fit, so I need that be clean. That should do it. This goes on the top. And there is a steel wash that sits on the top there and provides lots of tension to hold that in place. And the screw I've got here to go in there, that looks a little bit rough at the top. Let's see if I can take that burr off it. It's better than the one that came off this camera. That goes on there like that. And I've got to adjust the position of this piece at the top relative to this arm yet. Just checking that, that seems a bit tight. Not sure why that should be. Let me tighten that screw right up and check that. It is tight. There's something odd going on there. It's like it's not coming through far enough. That was the section off there, wasn't it? Let's try this one, in case there's some subtle difference in length in these parts. Now that one's better. There must be a difference in thickness in these two components. This one must be slightly thicker. This one's certainly moving well. Very roughly, that's pretty much where that needs to be, very roughly. Okay, so that's good. That'll do for a start. That's close enough for positioning purposes. This piece goes on the top, and it's probably beveled away at one edge, is it? Yes, it is. It goes that way up. That's held on with two small screws. A longer one and a shorter one. And the shorter one goes on this side. I've got the one with a better head in it. That's a bit chewed up looking. Excuse me.